Alright, it's actually been a while since I've just sat down and read some regular Reddit stories. No horror, no disasters, no AI lions jumping through car windows. Just pure, unfiltered internet drama. And honestly, I found a bunch of juicy ones today, so I'm pretty excited to get into them. While we're reading, I'm gonna be working on another room in my Minecraft world. I'm thinking about turning it into an Apoto room, and maybe building a massive mob farm as well. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing yet, but that's a problem for future me. For now, let's relax, build some blocks, read some stories, and judge complete strangers from the comfort of our screens. And today's story starts with a guy whose girlfriend accidentally became friends with the one person she was never supposed to meet. He writes, "I have been with my girlfriend for a year, and I've worked at my current job for 2 years. And honestly, two worlds have never been more separate. Just to let you guys know, I complain about my boss, not that excessively, just the normal amount that a person complains about their boss to their girlfriend at 10 p.m. when something annoying happens. Let's name him Derek for a dramatic effect. My girlfriend knows a lot about Derek, and none of it is positive. I once described him as the human equivalent of a terms and conditions page, and she laughed for a long time. I felt pretty good about that. So, 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend posted a reel of our apartment. It was basically just a clean apartment video because she had set up the new Matic robot vacuum and wanted to show it doing its thing. She finds it genuinely delightful in a way that I have started to find endearing. It was just 40 seconds of a robot navigating our living room. And guess what? Derek commented on it. He commented, "Ha ha ha, looks like my name's place." My girlfriend, who did not know who Derek was because why would she, replied, "OMG, yes, he keeps it so clean now, lol." I don't know how to feel about this. Derek, who absolutely knows who my girlfriend is now, replied again, and my girlfriend replied to him again. Like, what the hell? I would be lying if I said this doesn't bother me. The following Monday, Derek called me into his office to talk about a project. Except at the end, he said, "Your girlfriend seems lovely," and smiled in a way that had way too much information in it. I have not complained about Derek to my girlfriend since, because I am now aware that the universe has a sense of humor, and I no longer trust it. My girlfriend thinks this is a funny story. She and my boss have not interacted since, but they still follow each other on Instagram, and I have to live with that. TLDR. I spent a year talking trash about my boss to my girlfriend. It turns out they follow each other on Instagram. The universe found out and smiled. Alright, that story was wild. While I finish up this section of the build, let's jump into the next Reddit story and see if it gets any crazier. Here it goes. Weird text I got from a hookup I had 25 years ago. To be clear, I am old now. I am 50. I sing along with music at the grocery store and get excited when we go to Olive Garden because I just want chicken parm and a salad swimming in dressing without judgment. But I was young once. Last night, while in the midst of a rewatch of The West Wing, I got a text. It was a strange sort of, "Hey, do you remember me?" The number was unknown, so of course I didn't. They had the same area code that I have. Although I haven't lived there in years, I still kept the same number. The text seemed shy and not at all like spam trying to fish for information, so I engaged. They told me the name of a small city they used to live in. It was a bedroom community close to where I lived in my mid-20s. It didn't give much away as to their identity since it was, again, all in the same area code. It's D. The memory of him came flooding back. He lived in a historic building that had been converted into condos. I'd been fully impressed. He continued to be kind and respectful as he reminded me where we'd met for dinner and how attracted he had been to me. I certainly didn't feel it at the time. He seemed out of my league. I was all sex appeal then, but it seemed cartoonish when I was standing next to handsome men of average height who had their acts together enough to live in buildings that had names. Too tall, too curvy, too talkative. It was surreal hearing him say he thought of me often and thought so highly of me, thought I was amazing. I waited for the other shoe to drop. Inevitably it did. He talked about specifics of a sexual encounter. He said he thinks about it often. There I am, sitting next to my husband, who is well aware of who I'm talking to and how I know this guy. And he mentions that on one occasion I brought toys. I don't remember this, though it seems like me. I quickly shut the conversation down, and I'm a little embarrassed that I took part in it. I haven't told my husband how this conversation finished. I'm not meeting up with this guy. I'm not going to continue this conversation. My husband is certainly aware that I had some wild years, and I know this guy from those years. He can do that math. Here's the confession. I cannot stop thinking about being at his place and riding him while snow fell softly outside. Honestly, I don't think she's missing him. She's missing a version of herself that existed during that chapter of her life. Sometimes an old memory hits harder than the person attached to it. But enough about nostalgic exes and snow-covered memories. Let's head over to the next Reddit story and see what kind of chaos the internet has for us this time. Dealt with my drunk dad horribly. So this is still developing, but here it goes. Every Friday, my father has an all-about-him night. Drinking lots of alcohol and taking gummies. THC legal here. Rarely he gets belligerent and starts breaking things, and this time, while he was breaking things, I stopped him. I didn't push hard, just held him back and asked him to stop. Well, that didn't go well. He started getting even angrier, kicked the garbage can, and pushed my mother out of the way. That's when I pushed him. Mind you, I pushed him in the same spot as before, so I didn't expect the outcome, but this time, he stumbled and hit his head against the microwave, cracking the glass door. He was fine afterward, no cuts or anything, but that's when I felt like I had royally screwed up. At that point, my being in the vicinity was only making him angrier, so I went outside and contemplated what to do next. He came outside and tried to shove me, but I'm larger than him, and I didn't fight back. Now he's calling me, threatening that if I show back up, he'll call the cops and telling me to look for a new home, etc. Just for context, he's an alcoholic and recently gambled away $5,000, causing massive debt. He's done this before at a friend's house who now no longer invites him over. Also, I am disabled, so my income is $600 to $800 per month, along with food stamps. I can't easily find a place to live. My uncle may have a room available. My cousin might as well. Otherwise, I may have to apply for Section 8 housing. Assuming my father even remembers any of this today, he was that drunk. TLDR, I pushed my drunk high father while trying to stop him from breaking things, and now he's threatening to call the cops if I come back home. Edit. To add, part of the reason I stay is for my mother. She can't drive and never has. I've been taking her to work for nearly 20 years from 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. Without me, it would put even more strain on them. I also do the dishes nearly every day, cook dinner every night, and clean when I can. There's no way I can keep up with cleaning that house with 5 dogs, a dirt yard, and a field behind it. Small update, while I would like to move out, I have too much respect for my mother, and I've been sticking it out until she retires in a couple of years. I was 100% planning to move out then. It's a hard decision to go back, but I've always tried to be the peacemaker. I know this will probably get downvoted now, but life doesn't always work out the way you want it to. I'll post more if things go sideways again. Honestly, I don't think he messed up by pushing his dad. He was trying to stop a drunk, angry man from breaking things and potentially hurting someone. The real issue here is that he's been stuck playing peacemaker in a house that's been revolving around his father's addiction for years. The fact that he's more worried about getting his mom to work and keeping the household running than protecting himself says a lot. Sometimes the person holding everything together ends up carrying the heaviest burden. But enough about family drama, broken microwaves, and Friday night chaos. Let's head over to the next Reddit story and see what kind of mess the internet has gotten itself into this time. I got my friends to break my arm as a kid and then blamed it on my sister's ex. This whole thing happened about 25 years ago, and I never confessed it to anyone. I'm currently 36M, but I was 11 at the time. My older sister, who was 17 back then, had recently been dumped by her boyfriend and wasn't taking it very well. There were 3 main reasons why I did what I did. 1, my sister was struggling, and it was the only way I knew how to get back at her ex. 2, my parents didn't care. 3, I really didn't want to take a test the next day, and it seemed like a genius way to get a few weeks off school. So, when third period rolled around, 2 of my buddies and I went into the bathroom. I stuck my arm between the door and the frame, and one of them slammed the door as hard as he could. After 3 attempts, I got up on my shaky little legs, crying and covered in snot, and walked my little ass over to the nearest teacher I could find. I told him that an older boy had just broken my arm. Eventually, my sister's ex got expelled for it. He had a habit of picking on younger kids, and it wasn't the first time he had hurt someone my age, so I guess this was the final straw. They didn't even have to investigate much. He was already on his last warning. My parents were obviously furious, and they wanted to press charges as well. Those were eventually dropped because I got scared, and my sister and I begged them to just let it go. It's been 25 years, and honestly, I feel bad for the guy. He never finished high school. I don't think that had anything to do with me breaking my arm, but it certainly didn't help. From what I've seen, he's not doing very well in life right now either. Honestly, this might be one of the most committed ways I've ever heard of a kid trying to skip a test. Breaking your own arm is already insane, but getting your sister's ex expelled in the process takes it to a whole different level. At the same time, he was 11 years old. Kids make terrible decisions, and the fact that he still feels guilty about it 25 years later shows he understands how serious it was. But enough about self-inflicted injuries, revenge plots, and the world's most extreme test avoidance strategy. Let's see what we got next from our subscribers and find out what kind of chaos awaits us now. We were going to be late on rent or have no food in the house, and I found a bunch of money. My paycheck came in, and it wasn't going to be enough. I was working full-time, and my partner was working part-time. time. Anyway, I lied and said that I would handle the groceries and that rent would be okay. My partner said okay and didn't ask much more. The truth is, I had found a wad of cash, about $400 worth of 20s, and pocketed it. I'd never seen that many 20s together at once in my life. I still feel horrible, especially because I know who was sitting at that table. This was years ago, but I can still see their faces. A huge family on a Sunday morning after church. I justified it at the time because they were talking about going to the lake to fish on their boat and about how angry they were that gays, I am a trans man, and my partner at the time was a man, were taking over America and the church. Then there was something about their pastor saying, boys should be men and girls should be women, and everyone nodded and smiled in this creepy way. Even the kids. I was one of those kids once, but that's beside the point. Take my bias with a grain of salt. I've grown up since then, and I've learned that some people will simply be different, and that good Christians do exist. Anyway, I took the money, pocketed it, guiltily accepted their $10 tip on a $250 order, and went to bus tables. I was already holding a grudge, but there is no excuse. I was wiping down their table when the man who made the comment about gays came back in and said, "Did you find anything around this spot? I had a few $100 in cash for our trip to Six Flags. Let me know if you find it." I said, "Yeah, for sure. I'm so sorry you lost it," and made a big show of looking around the place, my pocket burning a hole in my slacks. I pulled back the booth cushions, got down on the floor with my phone flashlight, and apologized. Then I reported it to my manager. The store put up a message in the group chat about it, and everyone was on the hunt. I lived in a different state at the time that was incredibly Catholic, and I knew my life was over if I ever admitted what I'd done. But we, and our cats, had food for a couple of months, and things were okay for once. I still feel guilty and sometimes pass a church in the town where I live now, thinking about going in and confessing that I took money and didn't tell the owner when he asked about it. I'm not religious. I mean, I was as a kid, but not anymore. My family still is, and it comes up from time to time like an ugly cancer that never goes away. Edit. Muting this post. You all have been mostly very kind. More kind than you needed to be. Unfortunately, we're living in a time when people keep looking at this and calling me nasty things in the pursuit of sticking it to AI. I am not AI. I'm actually a living, breathing person who makes actual physical art with paint and my Cintiq. It pains me the way AI has taken over artistic fields because it feels like the beginning of a loss of humanity and art. Stop calling me AI, thanks. Wow, this one is definitely a moral gray area. On one hand, taking money that you knew belonged to someone else was wrong, and the guilt you still carry years later shows that you know that. On the other hand, it happened during a time when you were struggling to survive, and that money helped keep food on the table for both you and your cats. What stands out to me is that this isn't really a story about stealing. It's a story about guilt. Most people who truly don't care wouldn't still be thinking about it years later. You made a choice in a desperate moment, and whether people agree with it or not, it's something you've clearly reflected on ever since. Life isn't always black and white, and sometimes the decisions people make when they're struggling stay with them far longer than the consequences. Let's check what our subscriber has for us. Next story is Set Myself on Fire. Cleaning my bong, yes, this happened today, and yes, this is 100% my fault. But I felt like I needed to throw this out on the internet so someone knows I did it. This is not the first time I've done this, but lessons have been learned now. This morning, while my teen slept and my wife was at work, I decided to clean my bong. Yep. Dad was hoping to have a nice, clean piece for Father's Day, and with no one needing anything, I thought this would be like any other time. Off to the basement, I went with my favorite glass pipe in hand. Quick rinse out, plug the open ports, and proceed to fill it about to the brim with 91% isopropyl alcohol. I then take my broiling torch, it's a high-output torch for broiling food that I've repurposed, and proceed to heat the glass directly where the tough spots are until the glass sizzles a little and you see the particulates dissipate. I then swirl it around a bit to spread the heat evenly. Normally, I don't fill it to the top. Think of a 16-inch tall icebreaker bong with a few percolators and bubblers in between. But I figured I could clean those sections too if I filled it completely. Why do I do this? Well, somewhere a long time ago, I read that warming isopropyl alcohol helps it clean faster and better. My thought, for better or worse, was to heat the glass in order to heat the alcohol. At some point during my handling, spinning, and heating routine, some of the alcohol spilled into my palm. I waved my hand around a bit to dry it off and continued what I was doing. Well, the next time I flicked the torch on, the hand holding the bong lit up too. So now my hand is on fire. The fire jumped from my hand up the glass and into the top of the bong, which still had quite a bit of isopropyl alcohol in it. I dropped the bong onto the concrete basement floor, which cracked off the top 6 inches of glass. That meant I now had burning alcohol on the floor as well as a burning hand. In short order, I managed to get my hand under control, though I definitely panicked at first. With the help of the giant dog water dish I keep in the basement and some towels, I got everything extinguished. Luckily, nothing else was damaged other than my bong. I will say my hand felt incredibly hot, like I had cooked it for an hour. I held an ice pack on it for a while, and aside from a few blisters, I got off super lucky. Lessons were learned today, but other than the internet, No one knows what happened this morning. Not me waving around my flaming hand, not the basement floor catching fire, and not why a bunch of stuff is wet. Here we are hours later. My wife isn't home yet. The teens couldn't care less where I am, and most of the evidence has been cleaned up. TLDR. Decided to clean my bong, lit my hand on fire, and set part of the basement floor on fire too. Don't be me, kids. Hi, viewers. If you have an interesting, funny, shocking, or unforgettable story you'd like to share, drop it in the comments below. Your story might be featured in our next video. Don't hold back. We love reading your confessions, mishaps, and wild experiences.